Our region's business is sponsored by PNC Bank. Solutions that help you achieve your goals in life. PNC, leading the way. And by Heffron Tillotson, a history of meticulous wealth management since 1948. Our region's business. Innovation, transformation, momentum. Improving our communities and driving technologies that will shape our region for generations. The collaboration that brings vitality, prosperity, and life to living. Stay with us for the coming half hour as we examine in depth our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, what you need to know about bonds in today's economic climate. And there's gas in them thar hills, the Marcellus Shale story. But first, solar energy leadership in one of the cloudier communities in North America, right here in our region. A Pittsburgh startup called Plextronics is turning heads with a new approach to tapping the energy of the sun to make electricity. Andy Hannah is back with us. He's president and CEO of Plextronics. Welcome.
Thanks. Great to be here. Thank you.
Things going well, I guess.
Things
You're past that sort of initial spin-out startup kind of stage already.
We are. We've actually outgrown our first building. So we're 70 employees right now, and we're located in the University of Pittsburgh Applied Research Center, which is northeast of the city. And
out on Route 28, for people who don't know it, up the Allegheny River.
That's right.
Allegheny Valley.
And when we started, we occupied the first floor of the building. Now we have all 4 floors, and we've moved into a second building. So expanding very well, very nicely.
Unbelievable. So you've got product, and you're selling, and revenue, and all the rest of it.
We actually do. We have real product out on the market. Our first product is an ink for printing lights. So we've talked about that before, but essentially at CMU, my co-founder Rick McCullough had discovered these polymers that help people print lights using inks. So you can make semiconductors and conductors out of inks, print them on a piece of glass, run a little power through them, and out comes light. So you can, and this is 1,000th the thickness of a human hair. So you can imagine if you can put them on flexible surfaces, you can have flexible lights. If you can make flat panel displays out of them, that you can make them much less expensively than you can an LCD screen, as an example.
Well, and if it's only plastic and stuff, you kind of can see that day when your newspaper or whatever, or your magazine is actually a digital image of some sort, right?
Right, and then your question is going to be, how do you power that, right? So you can, well, yeah, and you can print solar cells too, because we make inks that allow you to print a solar cell. So you take a different kind of ink, but semiconductors and conductors, print them on a piece of glass or plastic, and you can absorb light and turn it into power. So it's the flip. With OLED, with lighting, printed lighting, you essentially take power, run it through the plastic, and it gives off light. With the solar technology, you absorb light and turn it into power.
Okay. That's cool. And you brought a sample, right?
I did.
Yeah.
This is an example. Our primary business model is to sell inks. So we want manufacturers all over the world to manufacture lights, OLEDs, what we call organic light emitting diodes. Okay. And solar panels, what we call OPV, organic photovoltaic. So essentially taking a piece of glass or plastic, in this case it's glass, and we print 1,000th the thickness of a human hair of ink on this, covered up with another piece of glass, and here you have a solar panel. And the idea is low-cost raw materials, low-cost manufacturing methods, and you have very low-cost solar.
So 1,000th of a thickness of a human hair. Now, how does that compare with the kind of solar cells that people see around that are already being used?
Sure. So they're sort of micron size. They're multiples, 10, 100 times as thick. But I think it's easiest to think about it from a cost perspective. Okay. So for 1 square meter of certain silicon-based technology, it probably cost you about $500 to manufacture that panel. Same size panel using our inks and a very inexpensive printing method can bring it down all the way to $50.
Geez, a tenth.
So a tenth, yeah.
Okay, but do you get as much electricity out of it?
No, and that's really the trick right now. So this is a very early stage technology. So we've been working with this technology about 4 years to make solar panels. Silicon, of course, from a solar perspective, has been around for about 60. So you can get very large numbers, like turn 18% of the sun's rays that comes into electricity. Right now, our best panels are about 6%. So it's about 1/3 the amount of energy output, but at 1/10 the cost. So the math still works, but you need a heck of a lot more area when you're using this type of technology. So it still has a way to progress before we can be on-grid, let's say.
Okay, so where is it being used now? Is this really cutting edge as opposed to your existing inks?
This is really good. So we have 20 customers around the world right now. And what they're doing is that they are developing products with it. So, for example, the example that you had with powering a flexible newspaper, there are actually companies out there who have the technology to make the newspaper part, but how do you power it? So what they're doing is looking at how do we develop a product that has a printed solar cell embedded into a printed newspaper.
Huh.
So, and we can't do all those different applications. Some are looking at applications for remote villages in Africa. Some people are looking for applications, how do you power a PDA or a cell phone with this technology? And we can't even conceive of all the applications for this, but what we can do is make the inks that allow others to develop products for that. So we're sort of the Intel inside of the next generation of electronics.
Okay, so you have to go around the world, find the folks who know how to make these products or have the potential to do it, and convince them that this is a new business opportunity for them.
Yeah, so I get to go to places like Korea and Japan and Europe and talk to people about our inks and get development programs running. It's, we really are a global company. In fact, most of our sales are from outside the United States.
Now, is anything on the market yet?
No, there's no commercial products right now, but with good luck next year, our products will be in a commercial product, and it'll be a lighting product.
Okay, that's exciting. Now, you're still in an expansion mode. I mean, there's a recession going on all around the world, I hear, and here you've got your fingerprints all over the world with this technology. So how's that going?
Well, we have a couple positions open, but we're going to put a second shift on a new development line that we put into place because we're getting a lot of demand from our customers to test their product concepts on our tools at Plextronics. And it makes a lot of sense because in a time of recession, a lot of companies look for ways to outsource development work.
Okay.
So they don't want to add people. So they look at some of their customers or some of their suppliers, and they think, well, how can we further develop products with them? And so we've had 4 or 5 come to us and say, hey, that new development line that you put into place, can we run some trials on that? So, which is great, except it slows down our own internal development work. So it's it's one of these push-pull type of things. It's great that we have this customer demand, but we still have a lot of work to do internally. So we'll put a second shift on that line so that we can handle both demands.
So what kind of people work in a place like Plextronics?
Well, great people, first of all.
All right, you got to find great people.
We only hire great people, and it is everything from. So we have chemists, and we have chemical engineers, and we have electrical engineers, and so we have, I think now, 24 PhDs in our group of 70. And we hire, half of our people come from outside of Pittsburgh, and half of them come from outside the country.
Wow.
So we really do hire the best of best to come into Pittsburgh and work for Plextronics.
I mean, you're really an example. You think about Pittsburgh's strengths, historically in materials science and in information technology, life sciences in some cases, energy, a lot of that. You're one of those companies that's kind of at the crossroads of a lot of different things we're good at around here.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to build the company in Pittsburgh. The technology, when it first spun out, when Rick McCullough and I did this back in 2002, we said, where do you want to locate this company? And if we're going to be an inks company, you have to put those inks on something, right? So you put them on glass, or you put them on plastic, or you put them on aluminum, or on thin steel. And what do we have here in Pittsburgh? We have PPG, Bayer, Alcoa, U.S. Steel. We said this is a perfect place to develop partnerships with those companies, and that we can develop and hire people from that ecosystem. And then you also have universities like Carnegie Mellon, Pitt, where we draw a lot of resources from too. So when you think about our legacy as a city, and you think about the cluster of companies that are here, it's a natural place for us to be.
Well, really exciting. Company's called Plextronics. Andy Hannah, the president and CEO. Congrats, and we'll have you back as you grow.
Phil. Appreciate it.
Good to see you again.
Okay, thanks.
Next up, the president and CEO of EQT on the Marcellus Shale, a new energy source underneath our region. Stay with us.